Part 41. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 401. Lu Yuyu said anxiously, Chiao, what about Master Fu? When Chiao was suffocated, he's going abroad on a business trip. Hurry up and let him come back, at least more people will help you. When Chiao smiled reluctantly, I can't contact him. After a pause, he whispered, maybe you're busy. When Chiao went home and broke the school's monitoring system on his computer, and found that Fang Duo left the school's back door at 10 o'clock in the evening. The back door leads to the alley where she was beaten, which is a long small street. The farthest monitoring distance is a dozen meters at most. If you are more than 10 meters away, you can hardly see the picture. The next monitor was broken again, so the appearance of the murderer did not appear on the monitor at all. According to the clips from the police's mouth, Wen Qiao knew that Fang Duo was knocked unconscious from the back and cut off the tendons of both wrists. Wen Qiao began to frequently go in and out of the monitoring center of the traffic department, calling for the monitoring of the backdoor section of Yanjian. Because of her frequent comings and goings, it attracted the attention of the traffic department. The monitoring department wanted to see who could freely enter and exit their system, but they had no clue. The traffic department was on guard, but fortunately, the hacker seemed to just come in to take a look, and did not do any damage to the system. Wen Qiao recorded the surrounding surveillance video, and then watched the comparison repeatedly, and finally locked on a man who was about 175 in height in a hooded sweater. He entered the alley at 9:30. After 10:30, he exited from the intersection at the other end of the alley. The man wore a hat and a mask throughout the whole process, and his movements were secretive. He even glanced at the camera, very arrogant. Wen Qiao could hear the sound of cars in the video. I followed the video to check again, and found that when the suspect walked to the main road, a black car happened to pass by, the license plate was clearly visible, and it was in the same direction as the suspect. Maybe find this car, there will be a breakthrough. She sent the license plate number to Yushu and asked her to check it out, and Yushu immediately launched an investigation. It is worth mentioning that the police restricted her entry and exit, and asked her to stay in the country to facilitate the summons. After all, the case has not progressed, and she is still a suspect. Yushu went to investigate, but she herself was idle. She would miss Fu Nanli when she was free. She picked up the phone and called Fu Nanli again, which showed that it was turned off. Wen Qiao was a little impatient. Becoming a suspect is not a big deal, it really made her flustered that Fu Nanli could not be contacted. Although only 2 days have passed, the 13 days will come soon. Fu Nanli didn't know her situation. If she couldn't come back in 13 days, what should she do? 2 days later, Yushu brought news. Following the clues given by Wen Qiao, she really found the suspect in the sweater. The man's name is Luo Sheng, 31 years old, unemployed, a bastard, with good skills. According to the surveillance, the person that night was indeed this Luo Sheng. Winko gave the information to police anonymously. Although the police did not know who provided the clues, they did not ignore the negligence and immediately went to the door to arrest Luo Sheng. Luo Sheng lived in a very dilapidated old community with 5 floors and no elevator. When the police kicked open the door, they saw Luo Sheng hanged in the living room. The police saw a video from his mobile phone, which was recorded before his death, confessing his crime and saying that he had worked in the Fang family before, and the Fang family was harsh on him, so he took revenge on the Fang family. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 402. The police went to verify his statement and found that Luo Sheng did something in the Fang family, and was later fired by the Fang family for stealing chickens. That's how the case ended. The police issued a notice that the murderer committed suicide because of fear of crime, and the case was closed. Wen Qiao is a little confused, committing suicide. Even if it is the person he hurts, there is absolutely no need to commit suicide. Fang Duo is only injured and has no life worries. If the murderer is caught, at most, he will go to jail. So it was behind the scenes, that is, what she thought He Yan made this Luo Sheng commit suicide. Why is he so obedient? Even if you give a lot of money, you can't buy a life. So, Wen Qiao went to investigate further, and found that Luo Sheng was diagnosed with lymphoma 2 months ago, and it was in the advanced stage, so it must not be cured. Wen Qiao's brows twitched. He was cautious enough to find a terminally ill patient to do things for her. After the money and goods were lost, the murderer committed suicide, and she was not involved at all. Really good plan. And with Luo Sheng's suicide, although the case was closed, the public opinion did not stop. Especially Fang Duo, she refused to believe that an inexplicable person was the murderer who hurt her, and this person committed suicide when the police came to arrest her. She was very emotional and made a big noise in the ward. It must be Wen Qiao's order, that person is just a scapegoat. There is a lot of power behind Wen Qiao, that person can donate 20 million casually. It must be the forces behind her who found a scapegoat for her, killed the man, and asked the police to continue to investigate. I do not accept such a result. It is Wen Qiao, it must be Wen Qiao. The family comforted her, but the police don't have any evidence of contact between Luo Sheng and Wen Qiao, and the case has been closed. Fang Duo's voice burst into tears. They were all deceived by Wen Qiao. Wen Qiao is very cunning. She must be her. She hurt me like this, but she can get away with it. I can't just let her go. Duo, don't do this for now. The most important thing for us now is to heal the injury. We will talk about the case later. Fang Duo spread out her hand. Grandpa, I don't have any strength in my hand right now. It's hard to hold chopsticks. It was Wen Qiao who did this to me. You must avenge me. Okay, if it's really related to the Wen Qiao you mentioned, I will definitely bring her to justice. No matter how unwilling the Fang family is, this case will be sealed in the archives. Wen Qiao and Luo Sheng have no trace of contact, and the police have not found any evidence after digging 3 feet into the ground. Wen Qiao was at least relieved. Although she didn't confess to He Yan, at least she was innocent. He Yan killed her reputation, and this was the grudge between her and He Yan. With revenge, she naturally wouldn't make He Yan feel better. It's just that the public opinion in the school is still not very favorable to her. Everyone said that she has a big backer behind her, and it was the big backer who solved the problem for her. Money can make a ghost run the mill, and they can say anything. But because of the sturdy sister Yu Shu, no one dared to say anything in front of Wen Qiao. At most, they were discussing behind their backs, and Wen Qiao was too lazy to pay attention to these rumors. Zhuang Yan came forward again, and he came forward to speak for Wen Qiao. This time, not only Zhuang Yan, but also Liang Chen came forward. He was the first to discover the scene of the crime. He had investigated Wen Qiao because he wanted Wen Qiao to take over his class. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 403. Although Wen Qiao is fierce and indifferent, she is a girl who is cold on the outside and hot on the inside. It is impossible for her to order such a bloody case. And Wen Qiao is arrogant, a Fang Duo. It's really not worth dealing with her, ruining her reputation with such unbearable means. Zhuang Yan and Liang Chen are 2 big boys with considerable voice and credibility in the school. The 2 jointly endorsed Wen Qiao, and the remarks about Wen Qiao in the school actually gradually subsided. Of course, Sulu was the most angry. She couldn't hold back, went to Zhuang Yan, and asked him angrily, "Why do you think this matter wasn't directed by Wen Qiao?" Zhuang Yan asked her back, so many people in the school say that Wen Qiao caused Fang Duo, is it your rhythm?" Su Lu felt that she was about to die. "Do I have the ability to bring about such a rhythm?" "Yeah, that's how you rhythmed her reputation in high school. She was nailed to the pillar of shame, and all the dirty water was poured on her. So why can't people do evil? Because it will give people an established impression that the road to rectification is long, and almost all the bad things around them are the first suspects." Su Lu was so angry that she couldn't breathe, and her eyes instantly turned red. "Zhuang Yan, don't you think it's bad for you to speculate on my mind like this? To Wen Qiao, I have always had a clear conscience. She framed and wronged me for many things. I'm doing this for your own good. I don't want you to be involved. It's a criminal case, and it's very bad. You rush out to endorse her without knowing the cause and effect." "I don't know the cause and effect, but I know Winko." Su Lu's heart was cold, and Zhuang Yan's words were so smooth. She said helplessly, "How do you know Wen Qiao? What do you know about Wen Qiao? Does Wen Qiao tell you everything? You think you know everything, her mother? She is very powerful, she will take vengeance, she has hurt me in the same way, this is completely Wen Qiao's way of doing things. Enough, you can go." Zhuang Yan's face was gloomy and merciless. Su Lu's heart was really cold. "You will definitely regret it, you will find that Wen Qiao is not the kind of girl you imagined." However, Zhuang Yan looked like he didn't get in, and Su Lu left angrily. Wen Qiao was not in the mood to deal with He Yan now. She was horrified to find that Fu Nanli had been away for 8 days. A very dangerous number, and he couldn't be reached. What is he doing? He would never have stayed away from her for so long. Fu Nanli was just worried that she would be soft-hearted, so she deliberately blocked her contact. But he could probably imagine that his Qiao was flustered day by day. He could hardly bear it anymore. Let's not check it, that's it, day by day, for him, it was just hell on earth. He couldn't sleep peacefully every day. As soon as he closed his eyes, Wen Qiao's terrified eyes swirled in his mind. He even began to have auditory hallucinations and heard Qiao calling him. "I slept soundly last night, and as soon as I fell asleep, I dreamed of Qiao. She was wearing pure white pajamas and her hair was loose. She was walking barefoot on the forest path. Shout out his name, loudly." He also slept for 5 minutes, and couldn't fall back to sleep after that. He was really worried, so he arranged for Qin Bei to see her. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 404. On the 10th day, Wen Qiao still couldn't contact Fu Nanli, so she went to the Xiaotangshan club. "Originally, I wanted to find Fu Cheng to inquire about the situation, but I didn't want to see He Yan and her brother He Jun." The siblings didn't notice her, and Wen Qiao followed carefully. She knew that the 2 brothers and sisters had a private room, so she took 1 step ahead of them and took a detour to their private room. Fu Nanli gave her a universal bracelet. She could go in and out of any place at will, so she found a cabinet and hid in it. After a while, I heard the sound of the door being pulled and He Yan's voice. "The doctor said that my chromatic atrophy is getting worse. He Jun, can you still design jewelry? If not, your jewelry company will hire a new designer, and you will be in charge of management." "He Yan, I can design it, why can't I design it? I will overcome the difficulties." He Jun seemed to be hesitant to say anything. "Let's do the management thing, it won't go wrong." "Brother, what can go wrong? You know it yourself." "Will not." Wen Qiao squinted his eyes suddenly. This was obviously something in his words. After that, He Jun seemed to leave first. He Yan's cell phone rang, and Wen Qiao heard He Yan's voice. "Well, it's fine if he committed suicide, don't worry about this matter, the public opinion will deal with Wen Qiao." Sure enough, it was her. Wen Qiao unconsciously clenched her hand into a fist. The people in the private room hung up their phones and went out. It's a pity that Wen Qiao didn't have time to record, but at least it was confirmed that it was He Yan. She stayed in the cabinet for a long time and left for about 2 hours. To be cautious, Wen Qiao did not leave the main entrance, but entered the courtyard, climbed over the wall and went to Fu Nanli's private room, then sat on the floor and searched the internet. The majors that are not suitable for color blindness and color weakness are the jewelry design industry. It is true that Miss He can overcome all kinds of difficulties through self-improvement, but according to what she said just now, her chromatic atrophy is gradually getting worse. If you listen to the meaning of what she said, and her brother's advice, it is obvious that she is not suitable to be the current one. Jewelry designers. She still remembered a previous celebration banquet to celebrate He Yan's winning the International Jewelry Award. Even if she overcomes all kinds of difficulties, it is really difficult for a person with color deficiency to win the International Grand Prix. So, is there anything tricky in it? Wen Qiao spent 2 days investigating that. There was a small team in He Yan's jewelry company. The manager of the team was Feng Shasha, a master in jewelry design. During the 24-hour tracking and monitoring of Feng Shasha, Wen Qiao got a recording. It seems that Feng Shasha's family is dissatisfied with her boss taking advantage of her talents, and Feng Shasha calls to comfort her family. The money I get from Mr. He is more than what I can earn by taking the grand prize to any company. She wants fame, I want money, and everyone takes what they need. When Miss He has enough fame, I will retire from her company. She has color weakness, and now it is more serious. Jewelry cutting has high requirements on eyesight. She has not disclosed this hidden disease to the outside world, so don't reveal it. After all, people are so rich, it is understandable to have a good reputation. Wen Qiao believes in a rule: if people do not offend me, I will not offend others, and if others offend me, I will offend others. He Yan, since you've tried your best to frame me, and your behavior is so despicable and shameless, then I, Wen Qiao, are not easy to mess with. On the 11th day that Fu Nanli left her, Wen Qiao was concentrating on dealing with He Yan, even temporarily forgetting that she was about to be in danger. Wen Qiao collected Feng Shasha's voice certificate, and then investigated He Yan's private hospital called Martha Hospital. She hacked into Martha Hospital's website and directly retrieved He Yan's color weakness case report. These evidences were then packaged and sent to the International Jewelry Guild that awarded He Yan the award. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 405. Moreover, I found a marketing account and posted it on the internet. When He Yan encountered a credibility crisis, she didn't even know who was behind her. She instinctively thought of Wen Qiao. After all, she just planned to let Wen Qiao be attacked by public opinion. At this moment, it is Wen Qiao who is most likely to deal with her. Yes, what Fang Duo did was indeed done by He Yan. Because Fang Duo was useless, she spent so much energy to support the girl, but she couldn't suppress Wen Qiao at all, so it would be better to do something to make Wen Qiao fall into a storm of public opinion. But, Wen Qiao shouldn't know about this. Wen Qiao shouldn't even know who is behind Sulu and Fang Duo. Perhaps she was unfounded. He Yan was a little overwhelmed, all the honors were taken back, netizens attacked her ruthlessly, and the guild also imposed a fine. Her talented and beautiful image was in jeopardy. Seeing this, Wen Qiao just shrugged, playing asshole, who doesn't? It took her only 2 days to do things for He Yan, and she didn't show herself, did not expose herself at all, and in the end He Yan didn't doubt Wen Qiao. In He Yan's eyes, Wen Qiao is a beautiful but brainless little girl. Such a meticulous design cannot be Wen Qiao. She felt that she was a competitor in the jewelry design industry, and she was not pleasing to the eye, so she was placed behind her. Her loss this time was too heavy, and her hard-working image was ruined like this. Wen Qiao, who hid her merits and fame, finally got revenge on the person who harmed her, and she had nothing to do again. Then she suddenly remembered that Fu Nanli seemed to have been away for a long time. She quickly scratched her fingers and did the math. After the calculation, her heart froze. It was 11 days, and there were 2 days left, and it would be 13 days. She hurried to Fu Nanli's apartment. The terrace was enveloped in the rain and fog at dusk, and the room was quiet. Wen Qiao walked around in it, called his name, but didn't answer. She was sitting on the sofa in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, the rain washed the canna, and Wen Qiao called him again, but no one answered. In the dark room, the mobile phone was placed on the round glazed table, and Fu Nanli's hand was hanging on it. He couldn't be soft-hearted, he couldn't fail because of his failures, and when he heard her voice and saw her face, he couldn't help but see her. After 13 days, she fell ill and asked Zhou Jin to finish her examination. Wen Qiao hung up the phone and sent him a message, "Where are you? I miss you." Fu Nanli's fingertips trembled, and he put the phone back on the table. His eyes were turbulent, and he was so depressed that he didn't know what to do. Wen Qiao sat cross-legged on the sofa, waiting for his reply, until it was dawn and until it was dark, and the phone was silent. Some bad premonition suddenly flashed in his mind. Wen Qiao's palms were cold, and it was cold to the heart. He went to his bedroom in a panic, and opened the cabinet on the bedside table on his right. It was empty. The case he saw before was not there. There it is. She got up and looked around. There was a small safe next to the wine cabinet. She ran over and saw that the password was 6 digits. 910,818, his birthday, is also wrong. 911,027, click, the door of the safe opened. Wen Qiao was stunned for a while, and suddenly he was afraid to open it. After hesitating for a while, he opened the door. There was only a single medical report in the safe. Wen Qiao's heart beat like a drum of war. He picked up the medical report with trembling fingertips and slowly turned the page. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 406. His face suddenly turned pale, and it was written, brain trauma recovery, dissociative amnesia symptoms disappeared. He regained his memory. He had already regained his memory. So he didn't go on a business trip at all. He knew everything. He knew she was lying, so he was angry, so he chose to leave her. He left without a word, and he would not come back to her again. She was waiting for him where she was, and she frantically called him and sent messages, which became a joke. Wen Qiao was so shocked that he couldn't stand. When did he recover his memory? There was chaos in her head. She stretched out her hand to support the wall, and it was difficult to breathe. She should have regained her memory a long time ago. Looking at it now, she looks like a clown. She thinks she is wearing a mask, but she actually shows her ugly state in front of him without reservation. He didn't say anything, he just smiled and watched her clumsy performance. When she is a joke. Wen Qiao himself felt ridiculous. Since he left quietly and couldn't be contacted, she should have found out that something was wrong, but she didn't want to think about it. She felt that Fu Nanli was very kind to her, and that kind of goodness didn't seem to be faked. What? At this point, she knew that Fu Nanli would not come back, which was equivalent to her being sentenced to death. He told her with practical actions that he was angry, he left, and he didn't care about her life or death. Maybe he only knew that she lied to him, and that she would die if she left him. She was still willing to make excuses for him. She sat on the floor for a while, thinking about a lot of things, and finally felt that Fu Nanli's actions were understandable. After all, She deceived him first, and people found out the truth. Shouldn't people be angry? If it were her, she would be angry too. But now, she can't contact him either. He has disappeared from her world, and he won't let her find him. She got up, closed the safe, put the case report on the table beside her, then went back to the living room, sat on the sofa, and thought calmly for a while. There are still 2 days left, and this time it may really be dead. Wen Qiao sighed softly, and only lived less than a year after being reborn, but this year was quite fulfilling, more fulfilling every year than the last 10 years. Xiaokai and Xiaomo's illness are all cured. Xiaomo is willing to speak, Mother and Uncle Ji have a happy ending, and the wedding will be held soon. She is also considered a small success in music, and she is also good in school. The club has also opened, and there is no regret in all aspects. In fact, dying now is not so scary. But she didn't want to worry her family and friends. In addition, she wanted to entrust her with some accounting issues. First, she asked brother how to transfer her copyright fee to Xiaomo's account. Her mother was soft-hearted, and she dared not transfer all the money to Xiaomo's account. Xiaomo is young, but he should be stronger and stronger after losing his sister. The other is Fu Nanli's money. He gave her a lot of money. Except for buying stars and donating to the school, she didn't touch anything else. Now that it was exposed, she should consciously give it back even though they didn't ask her to ask for it back. She made an appointment with the bank and went to the bank the next day to transfer all the money Fu Nanli gave her to him, and instructed the bank to call Fu Nanli's account the next day. She needs to spare some time to escape from Hiken. In order not to worry her family, she ordered a hitchhiker and went all the way to Midtown. The place where she and Fu Nanli have been to twice, in the convenience store opposite Huadian to escape the rain. She likes that place very much and has good memories, although Fu Nanli may have recovered her memory at that time, although the romance may be just her the utopia she imagined, but she is still willing to wait quietly for death in that beautiful small town. It seemed that he was by his side. It seems that there is less panic then. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 407. Qin Bei hurried to the Fu family's villa, found Fu Nanli, and said in a panic, "Master, Miss Wen has suddenly disappeared." A pile of official documents was spread out on the table, but Fu Nanli was indifferent to deal with it. Hearing Qin Bei's words, the strings in his heart suddenly broke, and his face was ashen. "What do you mean by missing? I followed her before. She went to your apartment, then went to the bank, then went back to her own place, and then I didn't see her come out. I went to her house, but she was no longer there. I don't know where I left from." Fu Nanli immediately became confused. It has been 12 days, and there is still 1 day left, and Xiao Er is about to fall ill. At this time, she is missing. What should he do? The phone vibrated, and a text message reminded him that he had received 5 million in his account. He transferred 5 million to Wen Qiao before. Is she going to give it back to him? He was so shocked that he couldn't stand. He hurried out of the villa. The car galloped along the winding mountain road, and when it reached his apartment, before it stopped, he hurriedly opened the car door. Scared Lao Hu slammed on the brakes, and Fu Nanli got out of the car, go straight to the 12th floor. The door opened, and it was quiet inside. "Qiao Er, Wen Qiao, are you here?" Where will anyone answer him? The moment he pushed open the bedroom door, his heart suffocated. He saw something on the round glass table next to the safe. He approached step by step and saw that it was his case report. With a bunch of keys, it was the courtyard he gave her. She returned the money and the house to him. There is also a note on the case report. "I'm sorry, I have a lot of last resort. I didn't intend to lie to you. I hope you can forgive me." "It's okay not to forgive, thank you." Fu Nanli's fingers trembled. She saw the case report and she knew that he had recovered his memory. He left quietly, he didn't let her contact him. Did she think he didn't want her anymore? He was so shocked that he couldn't hold the phone. He dialed her number, and it showed that it was turned off. He dialed her phone over and over again, but there was no news, as if she was taking revenge on him with the same action. He didn't let her get in touch, and now he can't get in touch with her either. Today's Wen Qiao is the rose with the glass cover removed. She is very dangerous. She may faint at any time. He doesn't know how long she can last without him. He has to find her. He called her frantically, and while calling, he instructed Qin Bei, you go to the aviation department and the railway department, and ask Fu Chuan to find the road administration department. Within a day, you must find out where Wen Qiao is. Qin Bei had never seen his young master panic like this, so he did not dare to delay, and immediately went to execute the young master's order. Fu Nanli's heart was aching all the time. He went to Yanjian and found Lu Yuyu. When Lu Yuyu saw Fu Nanli, he couldn't help but feel aggrieved. Where have you been, young master? We, Qiao, have been looking for you all these days. Why do you keep your phone off when you're on a business trip? Do you know where she is now? Lu Yuyu ignored it and said, do you know what kind of life Qiao lived during the days when you were away on business? She was wronged by everyone, Fang Duo's tendon was broken, and everyone said that Qiao did it. Yes, she was also taken by the police for interrogation. The classmates in the school poured water on her head. She wanted to find you, but you don't know where, and she has been unable to contact you. The rest is writing. It's a new month, let's cast a monthly vote. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 408. At that moment, Fu Nanli felt that he couldn't breathe, and he chose such an inopportune time to leave her. When she needed him most, he deliberately hid from her. How tormented the child must have been, and how desperate he must have been when he saw the medical record report. She really felt that he was deliberately cold to her and deliberately did not want her. That's why she left like this, hid, and settled all the accounts. She didn't want to owe him, she wanted to take care of everything alone. Where is she now, do you know? He said anxiously, he was about to go crazy. Not at home? Or in your apartment? She didn't tell me. Fu Nanli's heart sank. Not even Lu Yuyu said. Qiao was determined not to let anyone find her. Fu Nanli sent countless people to look for Wen Qiao all over the world. 1 minute passed by like this, and there was no news at all. Fu Nanli hadn't closed his eyes for 2 days and 2 nights, his eyes were full of red blood, and his phone was plugged in. He called her over and over again, almost screaming in his heart, don't punish me in this way. He couldn't stand it. Even if he is rich enough to rival the country, even if he is powerful, even if he is the favored son of heaven, the sun on the 13th day still slowly falls below the horizon, out of his control. When Qiao still had no news, Fu Nanli's face was completely bloodless, recalling the times when she passed out. Her heartbeat will be slower and slower, maybe in a street where no one knows her, maybe in a small hotel. She realized that there was no one by her side. He felt like he was going crazy. Zhou Jin also came to his apartment and was beaten by Fu Nanli as soon as he entered the bedroom. He is a person who has been practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu all year round. Your bad idea. Master Fu had lost his mind for a long time, he was going crazy. At this time, Zhou Jin could no longer add fuel to the fire, and only said, have you looked everywhere? Fu Chuan was also on the side, he's about to turn the whole city over. Although he didn't know why Nanli was in such a hurry to find Wen Qiao, he was so anxious that he didn't close his eyes in the past 2 days, and the corners of his mouth were bubbling, so he didn't dare to neglect, and sent a lot of people out to find Wen Qiao. Jo Jin dragged Fu Nanli into the room. How many days? Fu Nanli looked gloomy, and a few words popped out from between his teeth. It's been 13 days. Jo Jin also panicked. What should I do then? Fu Nanli picked up a little sanity from the barren chaos. Pay attention to the hospital system across the country. Chiao Er may faint, and if she is lucky, she may be sent to the hospital, and she may be found through the hospital's medical system. This is fortunate in misfortune. Jo Jin is the world's top medical expert. The expert dean of the domestic medical team is familiar with him. He has sent news everywhere. Once there is news about Wen Qiao, let those friends notify him immediately. Just like that, wait until midnight. Fu Nanli's heart was almost boiled in the oil pan, and he didn't have any tea and rice. Qin Bei saw that his young master was almost crumbling, so he asked someone to cook the food and bring it into his room, but Fu Nanli only smoked, as if smoking could fill him up. Young master. Qin Bei just shouted softly, and the person in front of the window turned around immediately, with boundless hope in his eyes. Is there any news? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 409. Qin Bei said cautiously, not yet, you should eat something first. The light that suddenly appeared in his eyes gradually dimmed again. He lit some cigarette ashes, turned around, endless loneliness enveloped him, and his voice was indifferent. I'm not hungry. If you go on like this, your body won't be able to bear it. His young master's voice suddenly became annoyed and angry. How many times do I need to say? Get out. Qin Bei naturally didn't dare to make trouble and couldn't find Wen Qiao. His young master planned to starve himself to death, so he could only urge the people below to speed up the search. Time moved forward minute by minute. Fu Nanli was so tormented that he couldn't bear it anymore, so he asked Lao Hu to drive, and he wanted to go out. Seeing that he was extremely haggard, Qin Bei kindly stopped him. Even if you go out and have no direction, where can you go to find her? Fu Nanli got into the car and instructed Lao Hu to drive. Even if it was just aimlessly circling the road, it was better than standing in front of the window and waiting for news. The two previous faintings seemed to be in the evening, and now it was 11 o'clock in the middle of the night, and 5 or 6 hours had passed. He didn't know if she was lying in an undiscovered place, quietly waiting to die. Knowing that he was so hot that his heart was about to jump out of his throat. Regret, self-blame, guilt, all emotions are mixed together. He only hates that he is not a superhero in the movie, and can't perceive where his Qiao is. The car went around the inner ring, extended to the middle ring, and then to the outer ring, and swayed around the city again and again. The neon lights gradually went out, and the whole city became quiet. Can't find her. She deliberately hid. Wen Qiao was so smart and deliberately tried to hide. How could it be easy for him to find her? What kind of desperate thoughts is she licking her wounds in the corner silently, waiting to die quietly? He wanted to find her so much, took her into his arms, and told her, I don't want you, I really don't want you, I admit you lied, you can do anything, I just want to see a doctor when I leave you. It takes 2 hours to circle around the city, expand to the outermost coastline, and drive a large circle around the winding mountain road of the mountain city, and it is already dawn. No audio. He didn't even dare to call Jo Jin, because Jo Jin would definitely notify him if there was any news. If he didn't contact him, it means that there was no news and no one sent Wen Qiao to the hospital. Without treatment all night, how much will her heartbeat drop? Is there any help? Words can't describe his inner regret. He can only let the driver Lao Hu go round and round the city. His eyes lingered outside the window all the time, but from late night to early morning, there was almost no one on the streets of the city. Only when the fish maw turned white in the east, did some sanitation workers take to the streets to start cleaning garbage. He thought, Wen Qiao should still be in Haikan. Fu Chuan said that there is no information about her ride by air, railway, or even road transportation. Therefore, she is still in Haikan. Where is she? The major hotels or small guest houses also don't have her check-in information, so, did no one notice that she passed out on an unnamed road? His hands were clenched into fists, and when he encountered some small alleys, he asked Lao Hu to stop, and he walked in. This city is so big, with more than 6,000 square kilometers, thousands of roads, and even thousands or even tens of thousands of unknown paths. His body is like a drop in the ocean, running around in this huge city. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 410. He didn't dare to stop, he didn't dare to stop his footsteps, and his thoughts didn't dare to stop. He didn't dare to think about it. He wished time could stop. In the early morning at the end of April, the sanitation worker passed by him, looking suspiciously at the tall man who got off the luxury car, watching him walk into an alley in a mess, and whispering something. Lao Hu hurriedly followed, and there was another small empty box with messy trash cans and bamboo poles at the end. Fu Nanli walked over, stretched out his hand and pushed the bamboo pole away, not letting go of every corner. The heart cooled down inch by inch. No, she isn't anywhere. She hid so well that she desperately escaped from his world and simply gave him the money and the house back neatly. He was distressed and hurt. Why didn't she come and ask him? How could she think he didn't want her anymore? How could he not want her? He stood there, his heart was terribly cold. The whole night passed, he couldn't find her. He was so flustered that he couldn't stand in the 29 years of his life. Even if his father passed away, he had never been so desperate. He stood there, the wind blew the leaves on the ground to his feet, his back was so lonely and desperate. Lao Hu walked up to him step by step, and said cautiously, "Master, there is nothing here, get in the car." Fu Nanli's eyes were flushed, and his strength seemed to be drained. When he turned around, his feet stumbled. Lao Hu gave him a hand. "Young master, be careful. Tomorrow is getting brighter and brighter, but he is getting more and more desperate." There seems to be fire in his throat, and his voice is hoarse. "Where has she gone? Where has she gone? Why is this child running around? Young master, who will find it? I will definitely find it." Except for Zhou Jian, no one understood why he was in such a hurry. He got back to the car was still going forward. Lao Hu looked back at him. "Master, if we go further, we're going out of the city, we're going to the coast, are you going? Go and see." He dared not let go of any possible place. Haikan is close to the sea, the easternmost sun rises slowly on the sea level, a row of yachts and cruise ships are parked by the pier, and there are fishing boats going out to sea in the distance. He walked on the brick-paved road, looking for them one by one. How can it be found? Are you still in Haikan? He thought, maybe she has some way to leave Haikan quietly. If she leaves Haikan, where will she go? When it was dawn, he returned to his apartment. The room was full of people waiting for him. His eyes were blood red and his consciousness was chaotic. Fu Chuan was dumbfounded by his question. "What? Find someone to help me figure out where Qiao Er is. What else can he do? He used hundreds of people to find her. She was so talented that she hid it so well that she didn't reveal a trace to him." Fu Chuan knew that Nan Li had lost his mind, and he started to engage in feudal superstition, but when he opened his mouth, he could only do it. A group of top dignitaries, top students from world-renowned schools, were finally defeated by feudal superstition, and they really hired an old monk from the monastery who was said to be proficient in the Book of Changes. Zhou Jin shook his head. "I Cheng? What's the age?" Does Fu Nanli really believe it? He must be crazy. The old monk brought a set of tools. Jojin saw him arranging tortoise shells and a gossip map in Fu Nanli's living room and thought it was absurd, and he could only watch the old monk's fortune-telling absurdly. The top students of MIT, Harvard Medical School and Stanford Business Department are desperate, and in the end they can only rely on an old monk, who can believe what they say. Ask for a monthly pass, ask for a monthly pass. Do you think it's enough to abuse Master Fu so much?